Picture this. There is a version of you living inside right now that you've never truly met. Not the face you see in the mirror, not the personality that speaks, smiles, and functions in the world. I'm talking about an invisible identity, a hidden self that quietly pulls the strings behind everything you think, everything you feel, and every decision you make. This hidden self doesn't announce itself. It doesn't walk into the room with you. It's not loud or obvious. Instead, it hides in the background, operating silently, shaping the way you interpret reality, the way you react to challenges, and the way you see your own worth. It's like an invisible lens through which you view the world, and because you've been looking through it for so long, you don't even realize it's there. But here's the truth. This identity wasn't consciously chosen by you. It was formed. It was constructed piece by piece, often in moments of pain you didn't even realize were shaping you. It grew out of disappointments that left scars, rejections that made you question your value, betrayals that taught you to guard your heart. It was born in the quiet moments when you whispered to yourself, "I won't let that happen to me again." Every time you lowered your expectations to avoid disappointment. Every time you told yourself not to dream too big, because it hurt too much when it didn't happen. Every time you decided it was safer to settle for less, rather than risk the pain of reaching for more. That's when this hidden identity was being written into your nervous system. And the more you repeated those protective responses, the stronger it became. Like code being written into a program, your nervous system learned to operate from fear rather than trust, from defense rather than openness. Over time, this hidden self stopped being a response to life. It became your life. It became the autopilot that steers your thoughts, shapes your emotions, and keeps drawing the same kinds of experiences into your reality over and over again. Most people never see it. They assume they're in control because they're the one making choices, setting goals, and working hard. But what they don't realize is that 95% of those choices are being filtered through this unconscious identity. They may decorate the surface of their lives, buying new things, changing jobs, moving cities, even starting new relationships. But they keep attracting the same familiar pattern. Why? Because their foundation hasn't changed. Think about it like this. You can rearrange the furniture in a house all you want. You can paint the walls, hang new art, replace the couch, buy a bigger television. But if the foundation beneath the house is cracked, if the structure itself is unstable, then nothing truly changes. You're just redecorating dysfunction. And this is exactly what most people do with their life. They try to fix the surface, the external circumstances, while the same hidden self continues running the same program underneath. They pray for new results, but their nervous system is still broadcasting the same old frequency. They affirm new beliefs, but deep down they still expect disappointment. They tell themselves they're worthy, but their body still holds the memory of rejection. This is why so many people feel stuck. It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they're broken. It's because they've never met the invisible architect that's been designing their experience from the shadows. And here's the part that should shake you. This hidden self doesn't just live in your thoughts. It lives in your body. It shows up in the way your shoulders tense when opportunity appears. It's in the shallow breath you take when someone asks about your dreams. It's in that familiar ache in your chest that whispers, "Be grateful for what you already have. Don't ask for more." You've mistaken these patterns for your personality. You've believed the story that this is just who you are, but it isn't. This is not your true self. This is the conditioned self, the protective identity that formed when you were too young, too fragile, or too hurt to do anything else but protect yourself. And yet here's the paradox. What once served as your survival strategy has now become your prison. The same walls that shielded you from pain are the very walls keeping you from expansion. So I ask you, how long will you let a younger version of you, the version that only knew how to survive, keep running your life to death? How long will you let a hidden self, written by old wounds, decide what's possible for your future. The truth is this: the hidden self has only as much power as the power you give it through your unconscious agreement. The moment you become aware of it, the moment you dare to observe it without merging with it, you break the spell, because awareness itself is the key. This is where the story shifts, not when you change your circumstance, not when you try harder, hustle more, or rearrange the furniture of your life, but when you finally stop, turn inward, and ask the most important question of all: who is really running my life? Me, or the hidden self I've never met? That is the doorway. That is where transformation begins. Now let's go deeper, because what I'm about to share with you has the power to completely rewrite the way you understand reality itself. The quantum field, the invisible fabric of existence that surrounds and permeates you, is not random. It's not indifferent. It doesn't operate by luck, by chance, or by favoritism. The quantum field is a mirror, a perfect, unblinking, and unforgiving mirror. And this mirror doesn't reflect what you say you want. It doesn't reflect the dreams you scribble on paper, or the affirmations you repeat in the morning. No, it reflects what you are. It reflects the actual energetic signature you broadcast every moment of every day, through your thoughts, your emotions, and your nervous system. Every human being is broadcasting, whether they realize it or not. The brain and the heart generate electromagnetic signals that extend far beyond the physical body. These signals carry information, and the field, the great mirror, simply responds with mathematical precision. Fear carries a signal, trust carries a signal, despair carries a signal, gratitude carries a signal, and the field reflects each of these states with unfailing accuracy. This is why so many people feel trapped in cycles they can't escape. They say they want change, but deep down their bodies are still rehearsing the part. They speak words of abundance while their nervous system is bracing for loss. They affirm love while their cells still remember rejection. And the quantum mirror, being utterly faithful, reflects not the words, but the signal. This is why affirmations so often fail. It's not because they're foolish or untrue. It's because the words are out of alignment with the frequency being broadcast underneath. You can't simply speak light while vibrating in fear. You can't declare freedom while your body still tightens at the thought of risk. The field doesn't respond to your lips, it responds to your coherence. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, "This time will be different," only to end up in the same cycle? How many times have you repeated, "I am successful, I am worthy, I am abundant," but deep inside felt a hollowness, a disbelief, a quiet whisper of doubt? That whisper is what the field hears. That doubt is the frequency being transmitted. And so, without even realizing it, you've been receiving more of what you are, not what you claim to want. That's not punishment. It's not cruelty. It's precision. The field is designed to reflect the consciousness observing it. It's like a cosmic echo chamber. Whatever signal you send out returns to you amplified, embodied in circumstances, relationships, and opportunities that match your frequency. You've been living inside the mirror of your own broadcast. Every repeated disappointment, every pattern that seems unbreakable, every closed door, these aren't evidence that life is against you. They're evidence that life is faithful. The mirror has simply been showing you the truth of your internal state, again and again, waiting for you to finally recognize it. And here lies the power, because the moment you stop trying to fight the mirror, the moment you realize that what reflects back is simply your own frequency, you hold the key to change. You stop blaming circumstances, you stop blaming fate, you stop blaming yourself. Instead, you see the design. The field responds to authenticity, not performance. You cannot trick it, you cannot manipulate it, you cannot fake a signal, but you can transform it. Not by forcing yourself to believe something you don't, not by repeating empty words, but by shifting who you are at the level of identity, by stepping out of the conditioned self and into the witness, the true self, the coherent self. Because when the signal changes, the reflection must change. The mirror has no choice. That is the law of the quantum field. That is the precision of reality itself. Here's the part almost no one ever tells you. Your hidden identity isn't just stored in your thoughts or in your beliefs. It's etched into your body, into the wiring of your nervous system, into the way your heart speeds up when you feel unsafe, the way your stomach tightens when someone judges you, the way your shoulders rise without you even noticing, bracing against a world that once felt too heavy. Every single one of those reactions is a message. Your nervous system is not silent. It is constantly broadcasting into the field around you. Each muscle contraction, each shallow breath, each suppressed emotion sends out a frequency signal, like a beacon announcing, "This is who I am, this is what I expect, this is what I'm prepared for." That's why you can't just think your way into a new reality. Because even if your mind says, "I am abundant, I am safe, I am loved," your body might still be whispering, "I don't believe it. I don't trust it. I need to protect myself." And the quantum field doesn't listen to your words, it listens to your broadcast. Think about it. Every time you walk into a room, people feel something from you before you ever open your mouth. That's your broadcast. When your nervous system is stuck in fear, you project scarcity, defensiveness, distrust, and the field mirrors it back, not as punishment, but as proof of coherence. Fear attracts more situations to confirm itself. But when you begin to regulate your nervous system, when you teach your body that it is safe, when you breathe deeply and allow your chest to open, when you let go of tension, you change the signal. Fear gives way to trust. Scarcity gives way to openness. Survival gives way to creation. And this is the revelation. Manifestation doesn't begin in the mind. It begins in the body. It's not just what you think, it's what you are. Your nervous system is the antenna of your life, broadcasting your state of being into the fabric of reality. So pause and notice the way your jaw is set right now, the rhythm of your breath, the heaviness in your chest, or the lightness in your spine. That is your current broadcast. That is the frequency you're feeding into the field. When you realize this, it's like a light switching on. You understand that alignment is not just an affirmation, it's an embodiment. Healing is not just a thought, it's a broadcast. Transformation is not just a mindset, it's a nervous system reset. Because the truth is this, it's not just in your thoughts, it's in your body. And once you awaken to that, you hold the key to shifting everything. There is a moment, a single shift of awareness that changes everything. It's the moment you stop being consumed by your thoughts and you begin to notice them. Noticing is the first revolution, because the instant you witness, something extraordinary happens in your brain. Neuroscience tells us that when you step into observer awareness, the prefrontal cortex, the part of you designed for vision, planning, and choice, lights up. At the same time, the amygdala, the fear center that keeps you locked in survival, begins to quiet down. Observation itself is medicine. It rewires your brain from panic to presence, from reaction to response. But this isn't just neuroscience, it's quantum mechanics. In the quantum field, observation collapses probability waves into reality. The act of witnessing is the act of choosing. When you see without judgment, without immediately falling into reaction, you pull yourself out of the old program. You stop being the puppet, and you become the field choosing what comes next. Here's the pivot most people miss. When you are unconscious, you live as a victim of the program. You identify with every anxious thought, every limiting belief, every surge of emotion, as if it defines you. Life happens to you. You say, "This is just who I am, this is just the way it is." But the moment you become the witness, that identity crumbles. You realize, "I am not the thought, I am the one noticing the thought. I am not the fear. I am the one observing the fear. I am not even the old program. I am the awareness that sees it running. And in that instant, you shift from victim to creator. This is the essence of power, when you no longer argue with the program, but simply witness it. That awareness is what makes change possible. You don't need to fight the old self. You only need to see it clearly enough, and it begins to dissolve, because what is seen can no longer run in the shadow. So here is the truth. When you live identified with the hidden self, you are trapped in survival, cycling through the same patterns again and again. But when you rise into witness consciousness, you stand in the quantum field itself, the field that reflects your state of being, and from here, you can choose. This is the doorway from fate to freedom, from being dragged by the momentum of the past, to creating from the possibility of the present. Every time you choose to witness instead of react, you reclaim energy. Every time you notice without judgment, you collapse one timeline and open another. Every time you become the observer, you step deeper into your role as creator. So remember this, you are not trapped in the program, you are the field choosing. And that realization is the beginning of true freedom. Notice how the conditioned self lives. It's subtle, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. The shoulders slightly hunched, as if bracing for impact. The breath shallow, clipped at the top of the chest, as though the body is afraid to fully inhale life. The eyes scanning for problems before possibilities, the mind rehearsing worst-case scenarios in the background, like a broken record. This is the protective identity in motion. It's the part of you designed to keep you safe. By predicting danger before it comes, it keeps you guarded, in conversation, careful not to reveal too much. It keeps you doubting opportunities, because stepping forward feels like a threat. It keeps your body on alert, always tightening, always bracing, always preparing for something that never arrived. And the tragedy is this: when the protective self runs the show, you're not really living. You're rehearsing survival. You move through the day not as a creator of possibilities, but as a manager of risks. Every step feels like defense. Every breath feels like waiting. Every choice feels like calculation. But beneath that protective self lives something extraordinary. A self you may have only glimpsed in moments when you forgot to be afraid. The unconditioned self. The unconditioned self breathes differently. It allows the breath to fill the body with ease, rising and falling like waves. It doesn't need to scan the horizon for threats, because it knows at a deeper level that life is not just danger to avoid, but creation to explore. Its posture is open, relaxed, unarmored. Its attention is soft, spacious, able to notice beauty instead of only problems. And when this self comes online, everything changes. Creativity replaces survival. Inspiration takes the place of fear. Joy isn't something chased, it's something revealed. You no longer feel like you're dragging yourself through life. You feel like life is moving through you. Here's the most important truth. This self is not some distant version you have to build. It's not a future goal you have to earn. It's not hidden in the next achievement, the next relationship, the next breakthrough. It already exists beneath the conditioning. Right now within you is a self that is whole, free, and untouched by the story of your past. The work is not to create this self, it's to uncover it, to peel back the layers of tension, protection, and fear that have been wrapped around you, to stop rehearsing survival long enough for life to show you that you are safe to expand. Every deep breath is an invitation to return to this self. Every moment of stillness is a doorway. Every time you choose to let go of tension instead of gripping harder, you uncover more of the unconditioned you. And when you realize this, When you finally understand that freedom is not waiting somewhere in the future, but breathing inside you, in this very moment, something shifts forever, because you stop trying to become someone, and you start remembering who you've always been. That is the liberation. That is the hope. You already are what you've been seeking. Beneath the protective self, your true life has been waiting. Let's talk about why so many manifestation methods fail. You've probably tried them or at least heard of them. Vision boards plastered with pictures of dream houses and luxury cars, journals filled with affirmations repeated over and over, scripts designed to attract the perfect relationship, the perfect career, the perfect life. And yet, why does it so often feel like nothing changes? Why do people repeat affirmations until their throats are dry, visualize until their heads ache, and still find themselves stuck in the same patterns, living the same story? Here's the piercing truth. Most manifestation teachings are built on sand. They ask you to attract things to a limited identity that hasn't changed. They say, imagine the life you want, but they never address the self who is imagining it. They say focus on the thing, but they never ask who is the one asking for it. The missing link, the reason why manifestation fails for so many, is identity. If your hidden self is still rooted in lack, fear, and survival, no amount of affirmations can override that broadcast. Because the field doesn't respond to words, it doesn't respond to vision board, it responds to coherence. And coherence means the alignment of mind, body, and nervous system. Think of it this way. If you sit in meditation saying, I am abundant, but your body is tense, your breath is shallow, and your nervous system is bracing for disappointment, you're not sending a signal of abundance, you're sending a signal of lack, dressed up in hopeful words, and the field mirrors back what you are, not what you pretend to be. This is why chasing never works. When you chase money from a place of scarcity, it runs further. When you chase love from a place of unworthiness, relationships slip through your hand. When you chase success from a place of fear, you sabotage it even if it arrives, because the one who is chasing is still the same untransformed identity. True manifestation is not about getting, it's about becoming. It's about shifting the foundation of who you are, so that abundance, love, creativity, and expansion flow naturally. Not because you chase them, but because they resonate with your state of being. The unconditioned self doesn't need to force, doesn't need to grasp, doesn't need to chant empty words into the void. It radiates coherence. It embodies wholeness. It doesn't ask from lack. It emanates from fullness. And when fullness is your frequency, the field cannot help but mirror it. This is the radical reframe. Manifestation is not about pulling something in from the outside. It's about uncovering what's already inside. The life you seek is not waiting to be attracted. It's waiting to be expressed through you. So the question is not how do I get what I want? The question is who am I becoming? Because once you embody the state, the things follow effortlessly. They are the echo of who you are, not the prize you must fight for. And when you understand this, clarity dawns. Manifestation methods don't fail because the universe is cruel. They fail because they start at the wrong place. They chase the object instead of transforming the subject. But once you shift identity, once you become, everything aligns, not because you forced it, but because you finally remembered who you are. Let's step into the science for a moment, because what we're speaking about isn't just poetry or philosophy. It's measurable, it's real, and it's happening inside your body right now. The HeartMath Institute has spent decades studying something called coherence. When your heart is in a coherent rhythm, smooth, balanced, flowing, something extraordinary happens. The electromagnetic field of the heart doesn't just stabilize inside your chest. It extends outward, measurable several feet beyond your body. In other words, when you shift into coherence, you are literally broadcasting a signal into the world, not metaphorically, literally. and other nervous systems around you can pick it up. This is why you can walk into a room and feel peace radiating from one person while tension leaks out of another. Their fields are communicating before a single word is spoken. But it doesn't stop at the heart. Your brain too reflects coherence. When your nervous system relaxes, your brain waves shift out of frantic beta and into more fluid alpha and theta states. Alpha opens the door to creativity, intuition, and integration. Theta, the twilight state between wakefulness and sleep, is where imagination deepens and connection to the field expands. These brain states don't just make you feel calmer, they place you in harmony with the quantum field itself. And here's the beauty: coherence is not something you manufacture. It's not a performance. It's not another technique to master. Coherence emerges the moment you stop maintaining tension. It is your natural state when you are not holding yourself in fear, when you are not armoring your body, when you are not rehearsing survival. Think of it like water. Agitate it, and the surface ripples, distorting reflection. Let it settle, and suddenly it becomes a perfect mirror. Your body is the same. When you release the grip of tension, when you let your breath deepen, and your heart find rhythm, coherence arises naturally. You don't create it, you uncover it. And when you live in coherence, everything changes. Your thoughts align with your feelings. Your body aligns with your mind. Your nervous system aligns with the field. Life stops feeling like a fight against the current and begins to feel like flow. This is the wonder. Science is now confirming what mystics have whispered for centuries, that harmony within creates harmony without. That the state of your heart, your brain, your breath, is not a private experience. It is a signal, a field, a resonance that ripples into reality. So the next time you catch yourself trying to force alignment, remember, coherence isn't something you produce. It's what appears when you finally allow yourself to let go. Every true transformation begins not with adding something new, but with releasing what no longer serves. And release always begins with radical self-honesty. Ask yourself, what emotions do I keep returning to again and again? When the day quiets down, when the noise of distraction fades, what's left echoing in your body? Is it peace, or is it anxiety? Is it trust, or is it doubt? Those recurring emotions are not random. They are the fingerprints of the hidden identity you've been carrying. Now ask, what stories do I keep telling myself about why my life is the way it is? Maybe it's I never get the opportunities other people do, or love always leaves me, or I have to work twice as hard just to get half as. These stories may feel like facts, but they are recycled narratives of the conditioned self. They are the scripts that keep you bound to repetition. And here's the most important question of all. What does my body feel like when I imagine my dream actually manifesting? Notice closely. Do you feel expansion and excitement? Or does your chest tighten? Does your breath catch? Does your nervous system send signals that it's not safe to receive more? Because the truth is, it doesn't matter what your conscious mind says you want. If your body is broadcasting fear, contraction, or unworthiness, that frequency will override every affirmation, every vision board, every attempt at positive thinking. This is why so many people repeat the same cycles. Identity, not intention, drives repetition. You can intend to change. You can desire transformation. You can set goals, repeat mantras, even take new actions. But if you remain identified with the self who expects disappointment, who braces for rejection, who believes abundance belongs to others, then life has no choice but to mirror that back to you. Release begins when you stop protecting the identity that's been protecting you. That may sound paradoxical, but hear it again. The self you've been defending was originally built to defend you. It helped you survive pain you couldn't process. It shielded you from rejection you couldn't bear. It kept you safe when safety was uncertain. But now those same walls have become your prison. The very shield that once preserved you is now preventing you from receiving more. Release isn't about tearing yourself apart. It's about seeing, with absolute clarity, the difference between who you truly are and who you've been pretending to be out of necessity. And here's the shift. Once you recognize that your identity, not your intentions, has been broadcasting your reality, you stop wasting energy fighting your circumstances. You begin focusing on the only thing that truly matters, the lens through which you are perceiving life. So pause, breathe, turn inward. Let these questions move through you like a mirror. What emotions do I keep living inside of? What stories am I still loyal to? What does my body truly believe is safe for me to receive? The answers might sting, they might unsettle you, but that discomfort is not your enemy. It is the signal that the old identity is loosening, the first crack in the armor, and every crack is an opening for the light of your true self to come flooding in. Let's take a moment to honor something important. Your protective identity, the hidden self that shaped so much of your past. It wasn't wrong. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't some flaw you need to hate or erase. It was necessary. It was the armor you had to wear to survive certain seasons of your life. It was the shield you built when your heart couldn't take one more rejection. It was the guardrail that kept you standing when the world felt too uncertain. That self protected you. It carried you through storms you might not have survived otherwise. But now, hear me clearly, that identity is outdated. What once kept you safe is now keeping you small. What once allowed you to endure is now preventing you from expanding. The walls that once sheltered you are now the walls blocking your view of the horizon. This is where the shift begins. You realize, I am not my protection. I am not my patterns. I am not the story of my survival. You are much bigger than who you think you are. The limited identity, the one built from fear, rejection, disappointment, moves through life like it's always on guard. It scans for threats. It braces for impact. It expects loss. It contracts when opportunity appears. Its energy says, I must defend. I must prepare for the worst. And reality reflects that back with painful precision. But your essential self, that deeper, unconditioned presence that exists beneath the armor, it radiates something entirely different. It doesn't need to defend, because it knows it cannot be diminished. It doesn't need to prove, because it recognizes its own inherent worth. It doesn't need to chase, because it understands that what is truly aligned will always find its way. This essential self breathes differently. Its chest opens instead of collapsing. Its attention rests lightly on the present rather than scanning for danger. Its energy signals trust, completeness, connection. And the field responds to that trust by bringing coherence, synchronicity, and opportunity into form. Can you feel the difference? One version of you moves through the world carrying the weight of every past wound, expecting the future to repeat it. The other moves as though the world is an ally, as though reality itself is conspiring in your favor. And the truth is, it always was, but you could not see it through the lens of your protective self. This is what stepping into wholeness means, not rejecting the part of you that protected you, but releasing it with gratitude, not pretending you were never wounded, but realizing you are no longer defined by those wounds, not chasing some future version of yourself, but remembering who you already are beneath all the layers of conditioning. Wholeness doesn't mean perfection. It means integration. It means you carry your past with compassion, not with shame. It means your breath, your body, your energy begin to move in harmony with the truth of who you've always been, a complete, radiant, connected expression of the field itself. So pause, breathe deeply, feel your shoulders soften, and let this truth sink in. You are much bigger than who you think you are. And as you begin to embody that truth, your entire reality begins to expand with you. Something extraordinary begins to happen once you step into coherence. Once you begin living from your essential self, instead of your protective identity. The world outside of you starts to rearrange itself. You notice opportunities appear, ones you could never have forced, but now arrive with a sense of perfect timing. The phone rings with the exact connection you needed. An email shows up, offering an opening you didn't even know was available. A conversation with a stranger unlocks a door you hadn't been able to find for years. Relationships begin to shift. Some people, those who resonated with your old identity of fear and contraction, naturally fade from your life. Others, who reflect back trust, creativity, and expansion, are suddenly drawn to you. You find yourself meeting people who feel like allies, like soul family, like catalysts for your next chapter. And synchronicities, they multiply. You start noticing repeating numbers, meaningful symbols, perfect alignments that make you stop and whisper, "This can't be random." But it is not random. It is resonance. It is the field mirroring the frequency you now broadcast. Because here's the truth. Reality is not a set of disconnected accidents. It is an intelligent, responsive field, tuning itself to the signal you emanate. Every emotion, every breath, every thought you consistently embody creates an electromagnetic signature, and the field, like a flawless mirror, reflects it back with mathematical precision. When you lived from your conditioned self, that mirror returned struggle, disappointment, resistance, not as punishment, but as reflection. Now, as you live from your unconditioned self, the mirror begins to shine back coherence, possibility, and flow. These moments of alignment are not coincidences. They are confirmations. They are reality's way of saying, yes, you are broadcasting something new, and I am responding to it. This is what it feels like to live in flow. Life stops being a series of obstacles to overcome and starts becoming a series of openings to walk through. Instead of chasing outcomes, you find yourself magnetizing them. Instead of wondering whether you are supported, you start to see the evidence of support everywhere you look. And here's the wonder. This flow is not fragile. It's not a rare state you stumble into once in a while. It's the natural consequence of coherence. It's the inevitable expression of living as your essential self. Pause and imagine this with me. Waking up each day and moving through the world with a quiet trust that you are in rhythm with something greater. Watching doors open before you without strain, feeling guided rather than lost, meeting the right people at the right time, and knowing, deep in your body, that you are not fighting against life, you are flowing with it. This is what synchronicity reveals, not luck, not chance, but alignment, the mirror of reality reflecting back the truth of your new broadcast. There comes a moment in every journey when the noise of identity quiets and something deeper begins to speak. That moment is now. You are not your stories. You are not your struggles. You are not even the dreams you've been chasing. You are the one who has been observing all of it. The observer, the unchanging awareness behind every thought, every feeling, every shift of circumstance. That is who you are. And here's the profound truth. It's not the field that changed. It's not reality that suddenly began to move in your favor. It's you, the observer, awaken. And when the observer awakens, everything the field reflects begins to reorganize, because manifestation was never about effort. It was never about forcing reality into place. It was about alignment. Alignment between your inner state and the field's infinite potential. Alignment between the truth of who you are and the broadcast you release into the world. Take this in. The future is not something you chase. The future is something you align with. Every coherent breath, every surrendered moment, every choice to observe without being pulled back into old patterns. These are the steps of alignment. These are the keys to flow. And so tonight, the invitation is not to become someone new, but to remember who you already are. The observer, whole and complete, radiant and untouchable. From this place, your patterns no longer control you. They appear, you notice them, and they dissolve in the light of your awareness. The observer does not need to fight, because the observer cannot be bound. So let this be your declaration. I am ready to observe my patterns without being controlled by them. Speak it, write it, anchor it into your being. That is your alignment, your shift, your opening into the field of flow. And if this transmission resonated with you, don't just subscribe to more content. Subscribe as an act of frequency alignment. Subscribe as a declaration that you are ready to keep living, breathing, and embodying coherence with every step you take. This is your seal, your imprint, your remembrance. You are not the conditioned self. You never were. You are the observer, awake within the field, creating not by effort, but by presence. And from this moment forward, reality itself is waiting to respond.